And this is Aaron Riggs beside me, and we're coffee with the Summerland Kids. It is the weather today for Summerland, California, 93067 is a cool 52 degrees right now, and then it's going to heat up to about 68 today. That's the high. It's mostly sunny. It's Summerland. It's approaching the June gloom season, which means fog on the coast, but you can always just go over the other side of the mountain to hit that sunshine. So here we go. Coffee with the Summerland Kids. We're live. It's a go project.
Yes, I'm over on the Facebook right now, waiting for it to do its thing so I can edit the audience. And 3, 2, 1, we are live on Facebook.
Good morning, Facebook. This is Coffee with the Summerland Kids. Cheers to you guys. We're drinking coffee and chatting up a storm here already. Aaron's starting a new trend with his hair. You have to get I'm not there yet, but you got to get your hair long enough to come down below your chin to tie off your beard and your hairdo at the same time, which isn't an easy feat, but he's working on a new trend. It's hashtag beard trend or something. I don't know.
Hashtag hair tie.
Yeah.
We can do it like this too.
Yeah, that's tight. Yeah,
that's cool. I'm wearing my black tie. You're wearing your black jacket.
Yeah,
it's almost like we have a mental connection in the etheric realm.
Exactly. So
I love that. I found a post this morning, and Jericho and I shared it.
Yeah,
we both know he's the star of the show.
Yeah, exactly. We're just here chatting about in and around Tigger world. So. Got some sad news yesterday from the LA Arts District. One of our elders, Catherine Brim, passed away. She was a very influential person who I met early on when I first came down there. I think I was doing some research online before I moved to Los Angeles about what's up in the Arts District or something like that, LA Art. And I found that she had made like an artist directory for the Arts District. And Eric James was in it. And I went on later to meet him and have him in some art shows. He was a great guy. And she was just a person who was connected to the arts community. And she actually ran the LA downtown art walk for a while. And she was just a sweet lady she was actually a fan of my grandfather's art of Katie Keene and Bill Logan behind me. So that was really nice to meet someone that already knew of my family. So I felt welcomed by her. So RIP Catherine Brim. And I put up some Facebook posts about that. So, it's always hard because in the Arts District, surprisingly, a lot of we've had a lot of people pass. It's like, I'm 53, I'll be 54 this summer, but a fair number of these folks are, my senior, they're 60/70 years old. So, you never know when you're going to go. So you got to make the best of it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I know that personally, I do get sad when I lose people, but then something calls to me and says, hey, you're going to get here later. This is one of the thoughts I had was, if life is eternal, which some people believe, I do, then our lifetime whereas this avatar is so minute, the 50 or 100 years that a human being lives on Earth is such a flash in the pan and the bigger picture of the time. I'm doing this imagination technology kind of self-help, kind of accelerating coaching program. And that's one of the things that we deal with is time and how much thought is in an instant. And kind of to help get through anxieties and stuff, if you realize how many thoughts are carried in that moment, it can really open up your mind. And
that's huge.
So, when someone passes, yes, all the people left here on Earth are sad. Their presence isn't there. But like I've told you before, with Napoleon Hill and Albert Einstein, they do these thought experiments where it's a mastermind group with people that have, gone to the great beyond, and you can sit there and imagine the conversation, and it's really a powerful powerful self-help tool, I guess.
No, that's cool. That's amazing. Just that thought of those folks being together, whether they're living on Earth or in the great beyond. I wrote a little bit about adding in as many names as I could think of the people that had passed, and and weaving them into a little story. And I shared that on Facebook. So you know, it's never easy to let go of people or know that they're somewhere else now. And but you just want to believe that they're in heaven and they're in a better place because their suffering is over if there was any, and that whole side of things. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, your grandfather, obviously grandfathers go before the grandson, but in the picture, you got him sitting over on your shoulder
I know
like a
exactly.
little angel, like a
Yeah,
compass, like a Jiminy Cricket. And
I
anytime you
know.
want, you can just look over at the picture and connect an emotional,
Yeah,
mental level, which is so awesome. I do the
yeah,
same thing with the ships. It reminds
right.
me of my dad and my grandpa who was in the Navy,
That's
and my
awesome.
dad who built boats. So it's like that little emotional, mental trick can take
Yeah,
some of that I lost and turn it into, oh no, I still have it right here.
yeah. You still got them exactly. So yeah, it's wild, man. So I'm getting ready for my California adventure. I'm in Colorado now. I've been here since 2020. I've made a couple trips back, but I'm eagerly anticipating this one and looking forward to connecting with my friends in California, and of course getting my dad. My dad's 82 years old now. He was born in 1941, and he's doing great, for 82. I think a long time ago he said he wanted to live to 100. Well, who knows? We never know. But he still gets around. I mean, he's driving and all that good stuff. So gotta say cheers to the 80-plus-year-old drivers out there. So that's a thing, man. Those guys are like, some of them are probably sharper than the teenagers I see driving. So
Jericho, we've been hitting 2 viewers. This is like
yeah,
listen, today we have one on Twitch and one on Facebook. So
rad, cool.
that's
Cheers
pretty
to you
cool.
guys.
Um, I don't know if you brought anything for show and tell. I always like show and tell.
Yeah, I did. I got a couple of things I could bring out. Yeah.
All right. All right.
You
So if you want to go first or
okay?
all
I'll
right.
go first. This is a this is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And what's interesting about this book, and I have not even got through all the way through it, but the first, this whole section right here, this is like an introduction. It's like they did like 100 pages of talk before Jack even gets to say one word. It's everyone else talking about the whole deal. So this book is Jack Kerouac wrote on a scroll, literally a roll of paper, and he would write it like stream of consciousness style, which is interesting. So he wouldn't like type, edit. He was writing on a fucking roll of freaking paper. So I'm just going to read a few little passages right out of the front. I first met Neil not long after my father died. I had just gotten over a serious illness that I won't bother to talk about, except it was really something to do with my father's death and my awful feeling that everything was dead. With the coming of Neil, we really began, for me, a part of my life that you could call life on the road. Prior to that, I always dreamed of going west, seeing the country, always vaguely planning, but never specifically taking off, and so on. Neil was the perfect guy for the road because he was actually born on the road. His parents were passing through Salt Lake City in 1926 in a jalopy on their way to Los Angeles. So that's that. So Jack, he's known in the beat poets community for being like someone. I think he was almost a person who like crossed a bridge before anybody else did in some respect, and everyone, the youth culture at the time, gravitated toward what he was saying, what he was doing, and because the adventure of being on the road, hopping trains, hitchhiking, just that whole, like you say, the journey aspect of it all, and then to actually be illiterate writer to write about the adventure and be in that free spirit mode. That was something new because it was sort of breaking the mold, I feel, from the norm. You weren't staying at home, get a job, go back and forth, that's it. Like he just split and hit the road and then wrote about it. And that was sort of like, I think it gave a lot of people a little strength in themselves to do it themselves. So some people maybe took what he wrote and then say, you know what, I'm going to hit the road too. Who knows, So there's that.
Yeah, the road's a fun place. I've never gone so far as to grab a backpack and on foot and hitchhike. I've always, motorized vehicles. I mean, grew up around hot rod shops and body shops and boats and big trucks. And so the minute I got my car, I would go and adventure.
Yeah.
And that's just
No,
awesome.
Exactly. That's great.
I mean,
man.
maybe
That's
one
cool.
day I'll get a ship.
Right.
Go adventure.
Totally.
Sail the ocean blue. So I'm going to do my show and tell now.
Okay, cool.
And it's not quite as, how shall we say, cultured and advanced. I'm kind of a caveman.
I'm trying to get there.
I like sticks.
Yeah.
I like rocks.
Rad. No, that's.
And I like string. I got some really fancy metallic string, and I got some really fancy rocks. This is an amethyst. And so what I do is I take the stick and the rock and I make a magic wand.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I wrap it and stuff. I made one for you, and I wasn't quite sure what your birthstone was, because I always like to, when I do a magic wand, I always like to get a really cool stick.
Yeah.
And somehow, elaborate on the nature of this. And I'm seeing a hatchet with this. I'm seeing a battle axe or some kind of gun. Pew, pew,
yeah.
Left-handed gun.
That's awesome.
Pew, 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 pew.
That's cool.
And so that's kind of how I do the art that I like to do. So what is your birthstone, Jericho?
It might be ruby. You have to look up July 1st. I'm not sure if the year matters. I think it's all about the date of date of birth. July 1st, 1970 is my time, and I think it might be ruby, but I'm not 100% sure. It's been a bit.
Okay, I'm Googling it. Is the ruby.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
and that is funny because the one I made you last night not only has a stick and a rock and some string, but on the back end I had a little trinket, and it looks like there may be a ruby in it. It's an old-fashioned. It might be a garnet, but
that's cool.
It's just this is the one that goes on this wand. Let me make the wand, and I was going to ask you, because if it wasn't a ruby or a opal or whatever it was, I would be like, I'll make another one.
Well, good synchronicity. Good synchronicity there. Shout out to Sting on synchronicity. That was a good jam back in the day.
I'm sorry, this beard thing is just getting a little bit, how shall I say, uncomfortable holding the chin.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine, man. Yeah.
But I thought it'd be fun. I always like to throw a little bit of the fun, wild side of things.
No, for sure.
I know this morning we were talking a little bit about ties, of course.
Yeah.
And I've just got a little regular tie loop. Sometimes I go a Windsor or a double Windsor, depending on how fancy I feel. But
that's right.
I just love the headband because it keeps the bangs out of my eyes, and I feel, with the tie and everything. I don't know. Does it match with the suspenders?
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. That's amazing. So there's actually an arcade that I might be able to stop into that's in the Arts District. I didn't go there very much. It's called 82. I think it might be still there. So, going back to the old State Arcade days, Aaron and I both made the journey on our bikes from time to time to get to Santa Barbara as little kids, pre-teenage.
Where'd Jericho go? The video game sucked him in.
I'm back. I got a crank caller. We're low tech. I'm on an iPhone 8. Aaron's on like a Chromebook, right?
I'm on a $125 Chromebook.
Yeah, so it doesn't take the technology. It's pretty surprising, man, how that works for us. So back to what I was saying about the state arcade. You know, we were. I think you were 11 in 1982. I turned 12 in 1982. So that time in our life was just epic. I mean, you know, the video games were just on the full upswing on the technology, and we rode along with it, and just we fed those quarters in those machines. And you know, it's sort of like almost like there was a separation between friends because some people were just way better than others. I don't know how good were you. Did you fancy yourself as a good gamer back in the day?
There was a couple games that I was kind of dominant on,
Okay.
but there was always someone better than me in every single
Okay.
game I got good at. Um,
Right. And then
Never got
the
to
high
the end of
score.
Pac-Man. I could only get to like level 3 on Donkey Kong, but
Okay.
I guess that on Donkey Kong that was a high percentile. You know, most people could barely get to level 2.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. No, for sure.
and then the
Um,
first game I actually finished was Zelda.
oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome. Was it the Legend of Zelda or just Zelda
I
then?
think it was The Legend of Zelda, the very first edition.
Okay.
Me and a friend of mine would cut school and go over to his house while his mom was at work and play Zelda for hours.
No way. On Atari? Was it Atari or was it Coleco
That was
or
the NES system, Nintendo. So that
okay,
was
okay.
that was actually in high school. And believe it or
Yeah.
not, I'm however old, 50 plus. And
Yeah.
oh, guess what I'm doing? I'm playing video games still.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's a timeless thing now because we've carried that through and the kids below us are even way more into it. I mean, I remember living with like our little brothers. You know, one Brian Baker, Kelly Baker's younger brother, he was probably like at least 3 years behind us, but he was super into it. I mean, those guys like they took it to another level because the game systems got so much better for home game systems. Even in freaking the 90s, it was like the change was drastic from the 80s, you know? So
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had you know, my sons. Well, now I've only got one left, but
right.
um, I got them. You know, the Genesis, the Wii, all the different ones that were coming out,
Okay.
and they would always get frustrated. Dad, play, get past the level, get past the level.
Oh
And
shit.
so I'd start playing. I'd be like, okay, I'm past the hard part. No, no, keep playing, Dad, keep playing. They
Oh,
would
classic.
just watch me play for hours. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was a
Yeah,
good
no, that's
time, you
cool.
know, spending time with the little boy, my
Yeah.
kids. You know, it was just they had so much child energy, and it was so fun to see them light
Yeah.
up and beat the boss.
For sure. The gaming is coming back to, you know, like Los Angeles is definitely like a trend location. Um, you know, for example, one of my buddies, John Everett Miner, he's a record collector, and he shared the other day a record shop that is selling cassette tapes and records. And then on that same note, there's actually places that are like barcades where they got tons of video games there, like old fashioned stand up games, and then they serve beer. So it's a little bit of both, you know. Maybe I can't remember if there's a cover charge or not, or if it's just traditional quarters and pay at the bar. But you know, it's like the people that are like, of course, they're of drinking age, and it's something. It's a little more interactive, a little more fun than just like the regular bar experience. Because when you add the games to the element, it sort of changes things a bit, you know.
Oh yeah, you know, my favorite bars back when I was drinking always had at least one pinball machine.
Oh,
If they had
nice.
a pinball machine, that was my spot.
That's cool.
Whether I even drank a beer that day or not, just
Yeah.
having that game. And I know that the adult arcades and stuff, but with technology and robotics and VR, I don't know if you know this, Jericho, but you can put the headset on and
Uh-huh.
sit inside a robotic arm and play a video game where you're like driving or even flying a jet
Oh,
fighter.
wow.
And the arm
Nice.
moves and the VR goes with the game and you can play the game. And I've yet to try one of those. I actually
Uh-huh.
wanted to get one of those as like a business. but
Oh,
they're like
okay.
20 grand. So I just,
Yeah.
I wanted a partner because in order to operate it, you can't really be a sole proprietor unless you're ready to put in, 20 hours a day, basically pulling the machine, fixing the machine, operating the machine. Um,
Yeah.
it's still one of those ideas out here somewhere
Yeah.
that maybe one day I'll get one of those robot arm video games.
Right. Yeah. My cousin's got a little system at this house, and I did put on the headset and play. And it was something in terms of working out. It was some workout video where you're hitting objects that are flying at you. So it does get you to sort of you're immersed in the world and you can start moving. And then another friend of mine had a thing where old Steven Seamer, filmmaker, sort of pioneering some VR stuff where it was art. You could get in there and make art essentially. So painting, sculpting, that whole thing. So it's interesting how it's being integrated into education and training as well, for like training for welders and things like that. They're using, I think, VR for that, for training purposes now, which is, I mean, got to hand it to the big companies and the old GOV, the government, be on the cutting edge. At
Oh,
least they
we
think they're
don't
on the cutting edge of
we don't
technology.
talk about the government in a bad light ever, Jericho. I mean, you can have your
I
opinion,
know.
but as far as Jericho and I, we're mainstream. We love the government. We pay our taxes. We appreciate the
Yeah,
roads
exactly.
and the school
Yeah,
systems, and we don't see the corruption. We're like this.
right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Hear no, what is it? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Yeah.
But I mean, all political systems, let's be honest, there is room for corruption. At least we have the policy of changing and voting in a new president every 4 years. I was
Yeah.
talking to a
Yeah.
gentleman from Syria, an immigrant. It was actually my dentist.
Oh,
And
nice.
he's like, yeah, we've had the same dictator since his dad left office and he took over office. And
Oh,
that's,
man. Wow.
there's a lot of power in politics, and the absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right. Yeah. That made me think of the Native American people and their, how they used to have, the tribes. And, there was the tribal elders and the medicine man and the chief but it was like a micro
Hyokas,
community.
don't forget the Hyoka.
Yeah. Right. The little micro communities. And so
You know what
what's
a
amazing
Hyoka
about
is,
San,
don't you?
what's that?
You do know what Hyoka is, right?
No, tell me.
So the Hyoka is the court jester, if you will. Like the English had a court jester, the
Okay.
kings had a jester. So the Hyoka was like the goof off, and one of the things is when they had the meetings with all the different people, the Hyoka would appear first, and the
Mhm.
meetings would not start until every single person laughed.
Oh, wow.
So that was the Hyoka's job. Um, and I've always related to that court jester of, yeah, I'm going to tell the king, I'm going to try and put it in a way that the court laughs, but it's addressed. It's told out in the open without harm, and that's why I love comedy, and that's why I do
Yeah.
political comedy, government, secret, um, space technology, MK
Right.
Ultra mind stuff, like you were telling me a little bit about. I don't like to bring people in that aren't, but the MK Ultra and the CIA mind experiments with the LSD.
Oh, right.
Um,
Yeah.
I may or may not have been part of that Hollywood elite group of stuff. I got a vast family, and
Yeah.
the Riggses are everywhere in every walk of life. So,
Right. That's freaking amazing, man. It's cool. Yeah. God. So,
Jericho, it's that time. It's that time that I hate to tell you
yeah.
about. We're got about 5 minutes left. Today we're being sponsored by Wookiees Wands and Jericho's Time.
Nice. Hell yeah. Totally. Thank you for that, man. That's awesome. I love the whole idea behind the wand. It definitely brings you back, like you said, the power of productive play and the imagination technology. That's a big part of life, man. Just keeping that youthful vigor and surprise and all the positivity that comes along with that, you know. So,
Well, there's
you
a
know, it's like
really,
when you
really good book. I think it's called The Good Book. The
okay.
book, the book, and it says, come as a child. And I've taken that to heart, brother. I mean, come on, I'm
Right.
still sporting Mickey Mouse. I mean, it may be a dormer.
Yeah.
I mean, you ever
Right.
see Mickey Mouse with a spiked leather jacket? And let's just
Oh,
see,
that's rad.
oh,
Oh
behind his
yeah.
back, he might have a something. I don't know
Yeah.
what that is, but
Dude, Mickey, and you know what? Mickey Mouse is free now. Mickey Mouse is free range. He's in the public domain, I guess. So
yeah,
people have jumped on that and started to manipulate him and put him in different stories that he wouldn't ordinarily be in. Um,
yeah,
I mean,
that's cool.
I did in high school. I did a Mickey Mouse drawing because we used to play with one of our friends, and we used to jokingly say that he was like Mickey Mouse with the skin torn off because he was just constantly, like you said, the Jester, the Joker. That was him. So, and I drew a little pencil drawing of him of actually Mickey Mouse pulling his mask off, and underneath was our friend. You know, so
Wow, that's so cool, man.
yeah.
That is
So
so
I have
cool.
that somewhere. So yeah, Mickey Mouse, man, we grew up with that dude, you know, and he was just nothing but fun. You know, all pretty much most of the cartoons when we were kids were freaking pretty damn positive and pretty damn funny, you know.
Yeah,
So
except for that Wile E. Coyote. He was
yeah,
always
right.
making trouble.
Smashing that freaking bird. You know, I mean, how can you help you can't help yourself. You want to get that bird. He's so damn fast, you
Oh,
know.
it's like my cats, any little thing that moves, they're just like, whoo, 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 whoo. Ow, bah, 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 bah.
I know those guys are on alert, man. That their whole life is just napping and pretty much what's up, what can I get next, you know. So
Yes.
I mean
Yeah.
that's kind of a good the cat mantra is kind of a cool one actually. It's like you're either napping or you're on the hunt for something fun, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's
The other night, I let the cats stay outside. Normally, I bring them in when it starts getting dark because the other cats come around and meow, meow. But the other night, I was out kind of working on cleaning up and getting everything back into storage. And so it's like 9 o'clock when I came in, and they weren't coming in. They play this little game. One comes in, and then the other one comes in, and they do this. So we just
oh
left the door
classic.
open until about 11 o'clock, and they came in tired, and they slept till late in the morning.
Oh classic. That's cool. That's awesome.
It was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
that's great. Yeah, we have a cat
Down to
that
about 2 minutes, Jericho.
yeah, we're
So
getting there, man. We're closing in on the day. Another sunny day in Summerland. It's it was brisk this morning. Like the water the bird feeders or the water troughs, what do they call them, bird baths, they were frozen this morning again. So we're still not quite in summertime. I mean, it's still spring, and there's still snow on the mountains up there, and the river's running great. That's a positive thing. So yeah, I'm just getting ready to hit the road on Friday morning early. The road trip. So
yeah, and so if you're watching, we may shift time to
for
like 10
Friday,
o'clock. We're talking about for
yeah,
Fridays because Jericho's going to be traveling. And like you're saying with the snow and stuff, I mean, we're in inland California in the valley, so we get that heat. But around me are mountains, and Lake Orville is 100% full,
oh
second year
good,
in a row.
nice. That's a
But
big deal.
you can watch the snow melt and turn in these big clouds. I always like to let you know that you might be getting a little clouds coming depending on which way the wind's blowing. It seems to be about 2 days behind from when we talk.
Right,
And maybe that's part of it because the wind's blowing that cold air from the melt and from the north side. Um,
for sure.
but that's totally awesome.
No, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited, to hit the road and be on it. I did used to hitchhike with my skateboard, and just FYI, if you ever need a ride, just carry a skateboard, and people will pick you up in a heartbeat. The skateboard is like is bait essentially. It's like, oh, there's a kid or there's a dude, he's cool. Pull over,
Yeah.
pick him up.
Especially
Yeah,
if you're a skateboard or have anything to do with the skateboard culture, you kind of know the vibe that the skater has. It's kind of like a cat. I'm either going to be sleeping or I'm going to be riding my skateboard.
Exactly. Yeah. What was it? There was a few skateboard terminology things. Or skateboarding is not a crime. Remember that? Yeah.
Yes. Well, Tigger's hollering at me. He's saying,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Cheers.
you guys reached your goal. You made it."
Yeah.
And
Have a great day, everybody. We love you out there in the internet world.